All right, the slice. Awesome shot to have because it's super versatile. And you can use it in defense if your opponent pulls you wide and you need some time to get back into the court. You can use it offensively if your opponent hates that low ball. And you can absolutely use it when you're in transition to get into the net, put the volley away, and celebrate like crazy. So here's some things that you'll want to do if you really want to knife that slice. Number one, grip. Continental all the way. Some people hit the slice with an Eastern forehand grip, but I like to keep it simple. You can get that knifing action with a continental grip. Bonus being, it's the same grip you'll want to use when you're up at the net if you're thinking of coming in.
The two main things we want to do to get a little bit more power on that slice backhand and drive is get the racket a little bit lower so it's a little bit more of a level swing so that you can get that drive out towards your target. Two things happen. Some players will just take it up a little too high and end up having to cut down to the ball, therefore not being able to go forward, so they're just cutting down on the ball and not getting any weight behind it or any racket behind it. The other thing that sometimes can happen is players will change their posture, so even though they feel like their racket is fairly low, they will lean down this way to play a ball here, therefore coming down this way, and the same idea, I can't get through it. So make sure your posture is good before you figure out where your racket is, and that will help give you a concept or an awareness of where that racket is when I'm going to come through the ball. We're going to prepare early, good footwork, good posture, but being aware of where our racket is. So we're not taking our racket up too high, so we're chopping down onto contact, but we're driving through contact a little bit more. Second thing is with good footwork, we are going to be able to get our weight into the ball rather than letting the ball play us, chopping down, no weight into the ball. So our shoulder is there, coming through the ball, and as always, we're keeping our head still so we can really track the ball all the way to our racket and all the way through our swing. So head stays still. I want to try and turn quickly and early, but keep that posture, getting my feet behind the ball as early as possible and stepping in so I can get a nice driving slice to keep my opponent back and keep the ball low.
The field drill that's going to help you improve the backhand slice is this. You're going to cut the net. You're going to imagine that you have a blade here at the top of the racket and you want to cut the net in half or make like a really good, nice cut into the net. Okay, guys, want to try? Just hit a few times. You can go from high to low. Just imagine that you want to make a big slice into the net just with the tip of your racket. That's like this. Yeah, just keep slicing. So you don't want to go, okay, go. You don't want to go too much like this. You just want to go like, keep slicing down, slice down. Yeah. Okay, now try just exaggerate a little bit and accelerate. Just accelerate like this. Just give me a quick cut. Try to keep your racket face all the time the same. So you don't want to cut like this when you're going, and then you don't want to change this angle. See, just want to keep going. When you chose one path, you just keep going through that path, and only when you're finished cutting the net, then you will let the racket go into the follow-through. Okay, very good. I'm going to feed you some balls. Let's see how the slice goes. Okay, Shahid, ready to start? Okay, so I'm going to feed to Shahid 4 balls, and you're just aiming for the cone cross court all the time, and you're trying to apply this idea of cutting a little bit more. Yes, very nice.
All right, the next thing in the preparation is your non-dominant hand. And if you're a righty, that's your left. It's going to be supporting the racket. Now, I like keeping my left hand around the throat, but it doesn't really matter where it is. Just make sure you're using your non-dominant hand because it helps stabilize the old racket head before you knife that slice. And last thing on the preparation, and this is the most important part, you want to make sure your racket head is above the ball. More precisely, it's above the height where you're going to contact the ball. If you try and hit a slice on the same level as the ball is going to float on you. your opponent's going to be all over it and you're going to be scrambling around the court. You don't want that. You want him to be doing the scrambling. Okay, so you got the right grip, your preparation looks like a pro. Now what? Well, we're going to swing. And the swing path will be different depending on if you're trying to hit that deep, hard, penetrating slice, or if you're trying to hit a short angle or even a drop shot, very similar. And the image I like is the smile, mainly because tennis is fun, but also because as you'll see from the side here, the racket starts high, you swing down on the ball, and then it can come back up again, much like when you smile. Now, as you're executing your swing, you gotta remember to stay sideways. Otherwise, what happens is you over-rotate, you lose power, you pull away from the ball, accuracy goes out the window, and that's no good. You want to make sure you stay sideways through the stroke. Finish your smile, and then open up back into the court and get ready for your next shot. Now, if you watch the pros do this in real time, you'll say, Ramon, I swear they're rotating through the stroke. And I hear you, but let's look at my man Roger here, knifing his slice, staying sideways through contact, and voila, then he opens up and prepares to pepper that next ball at his opponent. And you might be asking, Ramon, when do I actually make contact with the ball? And it's a great question, and I'm glad you asked, because as you know, the moment you hit the ball is the moment of truth. It's largely what determines if the ball does what you want it to do. In this case, it's if you get that knifing, biting slice that you want. And the answer is the 45-degree angle into the court. Now, if you subscribe to my channel, first off, great to see you back. You've heard me talk about this all the time. You want to make contact right here at the 45. By the way, if you haven't subscribed, I'd definitely like to have you aboard, so go ahead and click that subscribe button now. Okay, contact at the 45-degree angle. Now, the racket has got to be slightly open because we're swinging down at the ball, and if we did that with a neutral racket, it would plop right into the net. So you're probably thinking, well, how open should it be? And the answer is, it depends. And it's something you're going to have to feel and practice with trial and error. But basically, if we're talking about a knifing, deep, penetrating slice, you'll notice the more downward motion you have on your swing, the more open your racket face can be. And we'll talk about the short angle slice in another video, so if that interests you, make sure you subscribe so you get that lesson when it comes out. Again, this is something you really have to feel. The next big thing is keep your head still through contact. This one is absolutely key, and I always used to get curious when I was learning this shot, and I curiously hit a lot of balls long, wide, or into the net. It's the weirdest thing, but you want to train yourself to keep your head still through contact. There's famous pictures of Roger everywhere showing his head just still and centered on contact, and let's just take a second to admire this thing. Okay, so keep your head still, don't get curious and pop your head up. It'll actually help you be more accurate and hit a better knifing slice. And just as an aiming tip, most players I watch hit their slices too high over the net. So when you're practicing this, I recommend you actually aim for like the top tape of the net. And if you're consistently floating the ball, then even aim maybe for the middle of the net, and you'll start really getting a feel for that knifing backhand slice.